I ruined my best friend's wedding after finding out she was sleeping with my husband. The night before her wedding, I couldn't sleep and wandered through the hotel. Passing Jess's room, I heard whispers and laughter. My heart sank as I recognized Chris's voice, my husband, talking with Jess. I have known Jess since we were young girls, our lives intertwined like the fates of those bound by blood, though we shared none. She was my sister in all but name, and for years, I trusted her with my heart, my secrets, and as it turns out, my greatest vulnerability, my husband. Our friendship spanned a lifetime, weathered by the storms of adolescence, heartbreak, and the quiet despair of adulthood. When Jess began planning her wedding, I stood beside her, as always, helping with the details of the day that was to mark the happiest moment of her life. But fate, in its cruel design, had other plans. The days leading up to her wedding were marked by a shadow I could not shake. Jess and my husband, Chris, shared glances that lingered too long, laughter that seemed to exclude me, whispers that unsettled my spirit. I tried to dismiss it, convincing myself that my exhaustion from the wedding preparations was making me imagine things. After all, Jess was my closest friend. Surely she wouldn't betray me like this. But the signs were there, as unavoidable as the distant rumble of an approaching storm. The night before her wedding, restless and unable to sleep, I wandered through the quiet corridors of the hotel where we were staying. Passing by Jess's door, I heard something, whispers, laughter. My feet froze, my breath caught in my throat. There was Chris, his voice unmistakable, and Jess, speaking in hushed tones that made my stomach churn. "We have to be more careful," Jess had said. And Chris, ever confident, replied, "Don't worry, they never find out." It was in that moment, standing outside that door, that my world shattered. Yet I did not burst in. Instead, I walked away, numb and detached, like a spectator watching the unraveling of someone else's life. I needed proof, something tangible to confirm the betrayal that was now poisoning my mind. And so, in the dead of night, I combed through Chris's phone. What I found there were messages between him and Jess, intimate, tender, mocking the sanctity of what I had once believed was sacred. In the early morning light, the day of the wedding dawned, the air heavy with expectation. I was to stand beside Jess, as her maid of honor, to smile and support her in the final hours before she became someone's wife. But how could I? How could I endure the weight of her lies, knowing she had betrayed not only me but the man who waited to marry her? And then came the moment, like all moments of destiny, inevitable and irreversible. The officiant asked if anyone objected to the union. The silence was oppressive, the room expectant, the future hanging in the balance. My hands trembled, but I stood. And when I spoke, my voice was not my own. It was the voice of all who had ever been betrayed, of all who had ever discovered that the life they lived was nothing but a facade. "I object," I said, my words cutting through the air like the swing of an executioner's axe. "Jess has been sleeping with my husband." Time seemed to stop. The faces around me blurred, as though they belonged to ghosts. All eyes turned to Jess, who stood frozen, her complexion paling, her lips parting as if to protest. But there was no need for words. I had the proof, and I handed it to her fiancé. The texts, the recordings, the evidence of her deceit. It was all there, undeniable. The room erupted in whispers, gasps, and the quiet sobs of a bride whose veil had been ripped away to reveal the sordid truth beneath. Jess's tears came, but they were too late, and her attempts to explain fell on deaf ears. Her wedding, the one I had helped her plan, was over before it had even begun. Now, in the aftermath, the world is divided. Some say I should have waited, that I should have confronted her in private, sparing her the public humiliation. But why? Why should I have kept silent? The betrayal was public, as was the lie they lived. My conscience, though heavy, remains clear. Jess and Chris had shattered the fragile bond of trust, and it was not my duty to protect their falsehoods. In the end, it is not the wedding I ruined, but the illusion they had so carefully constructed. And in that, there is a strange sense of justice, a reckoning that no veil could conceal. Truly, it is beyond reason to place any blame upon you in this situation. The anguish you must have endured, the heartache of betrayal not only by your husband, but also by the one you considered a sister. Such pain strikes at the very core of a soul. It was not you who destroyed the sanctity of the wedding day. The ruin began long before, in the secret and unforgivable transgressions of those who should have been your closest allies. You found yourself in a position where no just or simple path could be found. There is no prescribed manner in which one must face such a grievous wound. In standing before them, in speaking the truth of what had been done to you, you were neither reckless nor cruel. Rather, you were defending your own honor, laying bare the truth that had been hidden in shadows. It is not for those who recoil from the rawness of reality to judge you. They are merely uncomfortable with the light of truth shining so brightly, so publicly. Yet this discomfort does not make your actions unjust. Hold firm, for you acted with the courage to protect your heart from further harm, and in time, they too will see that you did what was necessary.